I have always had the best intentions.
Someone burned down your house with you inside. Elena, do you know anyone that would do this?
So rent is $300 a month, well below market, but it's really not about the money for us.
So you rented it to her on the spot, just like that. Do you even know anything about this woman?
What is it that you do?
I'm an artist.
And then you ask her to come work in our house?
It is a beautiful thing to know that your actions can affect another person's life.
All mothers struggle. Money hides it. But you can't put a price on a mother's love.
Maybe you should wear your hair down. Mom, it's actually your best feature. So is it just you and your mom?
Mm-hmm. We move around every few months. She hides stuff, just like everybody else.
I called the person that you listed as your previous landlord, and strangely, he didn't seem to know you. If you want to live in this house, you live by my rules.
Who said you have to sit back and take it? If you don't stand up for yourself, who will?
She has completely infiltrated our lives. I need to figure out who this woman is.
We all have parts that scare us.
Did you really think I wasn't going to find out?
Parts that we run from.
You haven't been honest with me about anything!
Parts that we're afraid to look at.
You are coming completely unraveled.
I am completely raveled.
Everybody's going to be held accountable for their actions.
I know about your little secret.
Are you threatening me?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Maurice Brown Show. We have a very special guest on our show today. Please welcome to the show a young actor who was a part of the trailer that we just viewed, Little Fires Everywhere, with Reese Witherspoon and Kerry Washington. And he can next be seen opposite, he can next be seen on the CW's Superman and Lois, which he is currently filming right now in Canada. That's going to be debuting, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's on February the 23rd on the CW.
Right,
thank you, Jordan. I'm trying my best, dude. And so he's going to be playing the part of Jonathan Kent, the son of Lois and Clark Kent, the clean-cut, modest, and kind-hearted twin son. And you can also see him in a show, my favorite, Vindication, as well on PureFlix. Ladies and gentlemen, with no further ado, please welcome the very talented Jordan Elsass. Hey, Jordan, what's up, buddy? Good to have you on the show.
Good to see you, Maurice. Thank you for having me. Hey, everybody, how's it going?
Jordan, I'll tell you, man, that show, Little Fires Everywhere, which can be seen on Hulu, is quite compelling. But before we dive into that, I would be interested to know, what have you been doing during this crazy freaking pandemic that we're going through right now, as far as an entertainer and an actor? How have you been handling all of this?
Totally. I'm glad you asked. So I don't know about you, but for me, and I think for most people in general, it's been really tough. It's been really, really tough. And it's been a change of pace in pretty much every aspect of life. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy how different things are. You'll be out in public and, or you'll be like in a store wearing a mask and you look around and you see everyone wearing a mask. And it's like this surreal moment where you're like, oh, right, we're in a pandemic. You know what I mean? Like, it's so like, it throws you off every time. But, I have those kind of wake up moments. And I'm kind of like, oh, like, really, we're still doing this? This is awful. Like, I can't stand it. I can't stand it. But it's funny because I actually already had COVID back in June. I have the antibodies and everything.
Oh, wow.
And so I was a little nervous at first, and I was struggling. But it's funny because it's like after I got COVID and I got those antibodies, things have gotten kind of, I don't want to say worse since then, but they've gotten more. So for example, like you were so kind to mention that I'm working in Canada right now. Coming back and forth has really been a struggle because it's, when you arrive in Canada, no matter what province, you have to do a mandatory 14-day quarantine period.
Yeah.
So that's actually what I'm doing as we speak, because I just got back from the holiday break. So I'm on day 3 of the quarantine. So that's been tough considering, like, I can show that I still have antibodies to COVID and everything, and that for the most part I'm almost guaranteed safe, right? But it's still unfortunately the law, and I have to follow the law. So that's been tough, I think. But it's nice because it's like you kind of have to look for those silver linings, and you have to be like, well, yeah, it sucks that I have to be stuck inside and that I'm stuck there, but at least I can use this as time to maybe learn a new skill or start practicing my Spanish, or I kind of wanted to maybe paint or read or something, a little less kind of a little more outside my comfort zone maybe, and not just sitting around like watching shows and playing video games.
Well, dude, I tell you, speaking of video games, I have 3 kids, 24, 22, and 19. My daughter's 19. And so, video games, Jordan, this generation, my daughter said this generation is called Generation Z. And I like to call it the dude generation, Jordan, quite frankly and honestly. This is the generation, Jordan, of the dude. You know what I mean? And how do you define that, Jordan? The generation of the dude is the generation of the hoodies, throwback Chuck Taylors, a brand new pair of jeans with the knees torn out, PlayStation 5, the Munchies, and DoorDash.
I like it. I think it's the generation of the dude. I like it. I agree with that 100%. Yeah. I think you nailed it on the head. And I've never heard anyone say that, but I like it a lot.
I think it's the dude generation. And I tell my 22-year-old son, I said, hey, keep playing, because here's the deal. You can be a millionaire now playing these video games. I mean, you got all these tournaments, and there's all kinds of money to be played. So I tell my son, keep playing, son. Mom and dad want a new house. I'll run to Domino's.
That's hilarious.
I'll be your DoorDash. Just keep playing. You defeat the Sultan of the 66th dimension, and I'll run to Domino's, anchovies or extra cheese. What do you want?
That's great. Oh, my goodness. That's so funny. See, I've never been the kind that's good enough at video games to be able to make money on the tournaments. I've always been the one that's like plays on easy difficulty because I'm just trying to have a good time, right? I'm not even like, I don't want to get like stressed out. I was just talking to my mom about this yesterday. I hate never been a fan of Call of Duty multiplayer for more than like 2 rounds, because first round I'm having a blast, but I suck, but I'm still having a good time. And then second round, I end up getting like super, PO'd and just like getting all angry, and I end up like throwing the controller. I'm so mad because I get stressed out if I don't win. So it's like, why am I playing this against other people that are way better than me? I would never win those like Call of Duty or Fortnite tournaments or whatever.
It's amazing. It blew my mind how much money can be made in these video. I had no idea, but it is the generation of the dude. Now, I want to ask you about your experience in Vindication. I love that show, and you were a part of episode 8. Now, I'm watching the show, Jordan, and I'm looking at. I mean, it's about as high quality a project, in my opinion, that you'll ever see when it comes to Christian programming.
Most definitely.
You know what I mean, Jordan? Most Christian programming is kind of cheesy.
It is
kind of hokey.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that that's the way it is, but that's kind of unfortunately just that's how it is.
However, that's not the case for Vindication.
Definitely not.
And so I love the show. I've had Jared O'Flaherty on the show, and he's spoken about you being you were at one point in competition with I think Todd Terry's son. Is it Austin Terry? I think.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah,
and
then there was sons though. I could be mistaken.
Yeah, and then there was another one. He actually plays the love interest of Detective Chris Tanner, but he also auditioned for the role for Macy McLean's character's boyfriend. He said you were just at the time just a tad
young.
too young, because
Right.
he really liked you for that part. And I noticed you in episode 8, and my wife and I were watching, and I was like, this young man is really, really good. You did an awesome job.
Thank you.
Tell us how you were able to land the role.
So it's funny because you kind of basically told the story, sort of, but you're missing a few key parts. So it was funny because I think, so you're right. In 2016, Jared sent me a tape and I auditioned for that boyfriend. The you just said it. I totally blanked. But it was the one with the age gap, right? So
Yes.
the girl that would be playing opposite me was significantly older. You know, this was in what, 2016, 2017. So I was like, 16, 17, right? I'm a pretty young guy, and I think she was like 22, 23. So
Actually 23.
yeah, a little bit of an age gap, to say the least. But it was but then, you know, Jared said he liked it. He said he'd get back to me. And he wasn't lying. He did. Just like a year and a half later, he hit me with a tape to audition for the role of Tyler.
Okay.
And that was episode 108, right? And so I sent that in and then heard back later, and he really liked it and wanted to go ahead and sign me for that role. So
Okay.
so overall the process was not something that I'm normally used to, because I don't think I've ever had somebody like send me a tape and then, or sorry, before this I'd never had anyone send me a tape and then like get back to me later for a different role. But what's really funny is the show I'm working on right now, Superman and Lois, was a similar situation. So I auditioned for the role that Alex Garfin, who plays my brother, is playing. So I auditioned to play my brother, right? And then they sent me another tape and they were like, yeah, but we kind of want you for the other brother. And I was like, okay. So similar situation with this show and that show, but that's pretty rare. That's not normal that they're like, well, we don't want you for this role, but we'll keep you in mind for later on. Or maybe it's not rare. Maybe sometimes it just takes, you know, more than a year or two, or even a month or two in this case.
Yeah, you did. You nailed that role, man. And I love Vindication. It can be seen on the platform, ladies and gentlemen. If you've never seen it, on PureFlix, Redeem TV, and Amazon Prime. But and they are now in the process of completing season 2. I think they're about halfway through season 2. Have you been contacted at all for the second season?
I don't believe so. I know Jared had mentioned sort of if you know, if there were any roles that popped up, that he would love to have me back in, and I would absolutely love to work on that show. Like, it was such a blast working on that show. Not only because like really cool character to play, but also just great people, and Christian show as well, which is fantastic. So I would definitely, if it wasn't for the fact that I'm stuck in another country with a close border. I know they're finishing up on season 2, but you know, I've been here for the last few months, and so I'm not sure if he was aware of that, or if, you know, there's no roles that sort of maybe fit my description, or that's something I could audition for. But if there's ever, you know, anything that he needs, he knows he's got me.
I have a gut feeling, Jordan, that he is going to contact you, because as I'm watching the show, dude, you're like, I mean, there's a high potential for a continuation with your character. You know what I mean? I mean, it may or may not be necessary, but it's a really critical. What the character has done is major enough where you could revisit. Okay, what happens to the young man here? I wouldn't be shocked. Dude, now you're in. Are you in Vancouver?
I am. Yeah. Right here, looking out at the brand new roast.
Yeah, man, dude. Listen, they don't play games with this COVID-19, dude, in other countries. I mean, they just don't play. I mean, you know, the protocol here in the United States has been anyway so lax. You know, it's kind of like, we're America, we're liberal, we're free. You know, I mean, we do what we want to do.
Yeah.
I get all of that, but it's kind of gotten us into somewhat of a predicament, because when I look around the world, everybody else is kind of like, you know, kind of bringing this thing to somewhat of a closure, far more so than here in the States. What is the protocol now? You say you're on the third day of a 14-day quarantine, and you say the borders are closed.
Right.
So what is the protocol there in Canada? Okay, you did kind of cover it, but if you don't mind going back over it, your situation
Absolutely.
in regards to Canada.
So I have now come here twice. Originally, it was back in September 2020. And I got out here, settled in, quarantined up in Whistler, up in the mountains, about 2 hours north of Vancouver. Beautiful, great introduction to Canada. I was like, this place is gorgeous. I'm going to love this.
Yeah.
And I was right in a lot of ways. It is gorgeous, and I do love the nature.
Yeah.
Then I got into the city, and I settled down there, and I was kind of like, I start walking around. I see the weather. You got to remember, I got there in September, right? It's like barely past August. It's like barely getting into the fall.
Yeah.
Thought the weather was always going to be like, because it was still some rain, it's still a significant amount of rain compared to Texas, where I'm from. So I was like, oh, this isn't that bad. Like, I used to live in Seattle. I don't remember.
Hey, look, it's Skeeta. Excuse me, real quick. It's Skeeta Jenkins. You guys are in episode 8 together, right?
Oh my gosh, hey Skeeta, how you doing? It's been forever. I haven't seen that guy in a minute. Oh my goodness, how you been? That's awesome.
Yeah.
But what was I saying? I don't even. Oh yeah. So that was kind of it was kind of a shocker because I used to live in Seattle, but I, as young kid, 11 years old, so
Right.
I barely remember Seattle at all, and just didn't remember this level of like constant gray, constant rain, overcast all the time. And that's the one part about this that really sucks. But the other part that sucks, like we were just talking about, is kind of the COVID protocol. Just because it's much less easy to meet people. It can be kind of risky to go out and meet people. And so, really, there just aren't that many people out and doing anything. And so there's just not much to be done right now, unfortunately. But, I think Canada is handling a lot of things very well. I think they're handling, I honestly think it's a smart move to make people quarantine. When they're flying on a plane, you're cramped next to people, even with those face masks on. It's like at that point, when you're a foot away from someone and you're both wearing like cloth masks, it's like, don't be naive. You know what I mean? Like, do you really think that's gonna, if they have COVID, do you really think that's gonna change anything? So, I definitely think that that Canada has made some very implicated some very smart measures to help kind of prevent the spread, and it seems as though they've done well. I think they've slowed it down.
Oh, they have.
The cases here are not high. But a lot of people, the problem with that on the flip side is that a lot of people are almost more nervous because they don't maybe have friends with the virus or that have had the virus. And so it's kind of a mystery to them. I think it's a little bit more on the unknown side of things. And so I think that scares them a little bit. I think the fear levels here are actually higher, but the cases are lower. So it's just, it's kind of a trade-off. Unfortunately, that's just the name of the game. But
it's a trade-off. There's absolutely no question about it. What's up, Chris from San Francisco?
Hey, Chris.
California is one of the states in America that's not playing games. Like, they're not allowing their sports teams to actually have home games in California.
I didn't know that.
So yeah, they're going kind of hard, and actually it kind of makes sense since all of their teams are going to be home for the playoffs. Just kidding. Actually, the Rams I think actually made it over the weekend. You have a football team, Jordan? I
had no idea what you just said because really not that into sports. That's just full disclosure. That's full honesty. I'm not that into team sports. And it's funny because like working on this show, I'm a quarterback in the show.
Yeah.
Little QB action. And so I didn't even like know what the quarterback did. I mean, I knew he passed the ball or like if it was like a running play, he would like pass the ball or he would, he'd throw it. I knew that. And I was like, oh, the guy in front of him is the center. And like basic knowledge, but I didn't really understand like nitty gritty kind of how the game was played. Didn't get that it was like, oh, this is actually more about like strategy and like going from like, run play to a pass play and whatever. I didn't get that. And now I'm starting to get it a little bit more, but I'm not that into sports. I don't have college football, I like UT because my parents like UT. So University of Texas, Longhorns, but like, no actual like NFL team. No.
Yeah.
No idea. Cowboys. I don't know.
Well, definitely stay away from the Cowboys. Michelle Van Dusen says it seems like most big cities are tougher than rural areas. Huh.
Definitely.
That's true, Michelle. It does seem that way for some reason. I don't know why. That's a good observation. Jordan, I would say that you don't have to be, because I in doing my research on you, I realized that you were not a sports guy. You're not, in reference to your role as Trip in the Little Fires Everywhere series, you're playing the role of a quarterback, an athlete, and in reality, you're more of a single sport guy, into maybe one-on-one, sports, maybe a little bit of UFC stuff or what have you. That's more your deal.
Definitely. I'm a huge fan of mixed martial arts. I really actually, when I have time here and places are actually open again, I would love to get back into it. I did MMA. I did.
Thanks, Michelle.
For about 5 years, 6 years.
Wow.
I was a blue belt, which is in the particular kind of MMA I did, which was mostly Tang Soo Do, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I'm trying to remember karate. I think it was just those three a lot. And I was right below black belt. I was this close, and then I booked Little Fires, but it was a really good time. So I'm very much into I've lost a little bit of weight in the last couple months, but before I was really getting into weightlifting. I weighed about 155. So I love exercising. I love working out. I love pushing myself physically. I'm just not a team player. Can't do it. It's either someone's better than me or a lot of people are better than me.
Yes.
Or there's people bogging down the team. So it's kind of either way. I feel like there's never a good balance. I've never been, but maybe I just haven't, done that enough to know. But I always feel like it's going to be either everyone's outshining me or I'm better than everyone. It's going to be one of
everyone has their own thing. I mean, there are a lot of athletes that are just into, just doing the single sports. They don't like that, because I know of one guy, actually he's a minister, and he used to say, I can't stand team sports because I have to depend on the other guy. I could be playing lights out, but because this idiot didn't do the right thing, we lost the ball game. So,
right.
I mean,
I'm probably that idiot most of the time. I would say 90% of the time, I'm that guy. Everyone's like, dude, this guy sucks.
So, Jordan, we have a question from Michelle Van Dusen, who's a stand-up comedian like myself. But seriously, on a serious note, she wants to know if you like watching golf or tennis.
Michelle, I got to say tennis is dope. Don't really know that much about it, but when I have briefly watched it, I'm a big fan. And I've always thought since I was a kid growing up that if I was ever going to play a sport, like real deal, I was going to go for it. It would be tennis. But then I realized I'm 5'9". I'm I don't think that's going to work. I think you got to have some long arms and long legs for that. A little more reach. I don't know if I'm wrong, but
you could probably get away with it. It's all about speed, but but in reference to your point about height, there's a lot of the players in today's game are bigger and a little bit stronger. You got these great big guys, 6'3", 6'4". They can serve the darn thing at 120, 130 miles per hour. So, I mean, you got to look at the game has changed in that regard. There was a time when it was not like that. But now, Jordan, you had the opportunity as we started the show out with a trailer from Little Fires Everywhere. Because, dude, you're on your game in the acting world right now. You, Jordan, are on your game right now, my friend. And so we went from Vindication, where I first discovered who you were. Now you're on Little Fires Everywhere on the Hulu series with Reese Witherspoon and Kerry Washington. Quite an honor, I'm sure, for you to be a part. Not just a part of it, but you have a recurring role. You're one of the frontline characters on that show. Can you give us a little bit? First of all, what is it like working with Reese Witherspoon and Kerry Washington?
Incredible, mind-boggling. I mean, I still like watching that trailer. Honestly, give me goosebumps a little bit because I've forgotten. I mean, I hadn't forgotten, not actually at all. But at the same time, like I said earlier, I'm in Superman and Lois mode now. It's like a new show. It's a new job, I mean, it's a whole different, even though so many things are the same, so many things are wildly different, and it's a whole different character, right? So, you know, kind of switching over to back to that was like, oh wow, I forgot that, you know, Reese Witherspoon was my mom. Like, this is crazy. This is crazy. But yeah, no, they were both phenomenal. I didn't work with Carrie as much. So unfortunately I didn't get to know her quite as well, but
Okay.
I had, you know, plenty of interaction with her still, just being on set, and she was great. Reese was phenomenal, just, you know, super professional, super consistent. You know, just never really had a bad day. Just very sweet lady, both of them. Good stuff. Great stuff. Honestly, I had a blast working with, not just them though. The whole cast was chef's kiss. Phenomenal.
Hello, Charlotte Delaney Riggs from Texas. Are you familiar with Charlotte?
Hey, Charlotte. I do. I know Charlotte. Yeah, I've met her, and I believe her mom as well.
So hello for all the way from Texas. And Michelle Van Duzen chimes in again. She says, team sports is a small community, which is how we live as Christians. Sounds like team sports is by God's design. Well, to a certain extent, without question. I mean, you know, you got to rely on team. But at the same time, there are individual experiences in life where we go, oh, God, help. So it's kind of like across the board there. So, but I definitely, you know, understand where you're coming from. The kid has skills. Skeeta, Jordan has skills, dude. I saw episode 8. Like I said, that's when I discovered Jordan. Could you kind of, because Skeeta's a good friend of mine, and I was watching that episode, and you just kind of stood out in episode 8 because you don't see a lot of young actors kind of take over scenes, and you were like I hope I'm not embarrassing you because it's not my intention. I'm okay. Just saying that what I observed from you on that show was someone that was you just stood out, you know, and
thank you.
I think it's testament to the fact that you're getting your groove on now in acting. Like I said, we're talking about you being a part of Little Fires Everywhere, a series on Hulu with Reese Witherspoon and Kerry Washington. Huge. And now you're working on Superman and Lois. That's a big time program. My son was checking off the other day, Dad, that's big time. So coming from a 22-year-old, okay, it's big time. So the fact that, you know, you're doing what you're doing is really a testament to what I observed. I mean, you are a heck of an actor. And also you're part of another show called Panic. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, that's an Amazon Prime show as well, which is funny because Vindication can be seen on Amazon Prime. And actually, like here in Canada, Little Fires can only be seen on Amazon Prime. So instead of being a Hulu show, like it really is at its core, it's available on Amazon Prime, which is funny. A lot of stuff is on Amazon now. But yeah, Panic is hopefully going to be out this year. It's going to be a cool show. Excited to see it. Barely got to see anything from that. I remember I went in and did ADR for it. Maybe ADR is basically where, for those of you who don't know, I'm sure most of you do, but a lot of people here being in the industry and all, but it's when you go in to record basically like voiceover for lines that maybe were not caught by sound. So maybe sound had you know, a crappy recording, or you said your line kind of in a weird way under your breath, so people couldn't really catch what you were saying. So you go in to re-record it, and then they put it in later. Or if maybe you're in a fight scene and you weren't, like, you know, struggling enough or making noises like you're in a real fight, they have you come in so they can add that in later. So I did ADR for that maybe 5 months ago, 6 months ago. And since then, I haven't really heard much or seen anything from that. But that's still scheduled to come out hopefully this year. And I'm very, very excited for that.
So Jared O'Flaherty, if you're watching and you intend to use Jordan for the season 2, call him now.
Oh, wait, 1 second. I'm getting a call.
Because he may never see you again, dude. You're booking stuff left and right, man. You may not even be available, but man, God bless you, man. Keep doing what you're doing. As we're talking about Little Fires Everywhere, which I find to be a hugely compelling show. Can you give the audience a little bit of background on Little Fires Everywhere?
So Little Fires Everywhere is based on the novel by Celeste Ng, and it's a pretty incredible story. Its main focus is kind of really at its core on being a woman and in particular being a mother. You know, and it's sort of showing these two like just wildly opposite, just, you know, polar opposite women.
Yeah.
You know, one's a single mother, Black, grew up, she's an artist, totally wildly different, has a way different story.
Yeah.
And Elena, who's Reese Witherspoon's character, she's white, kind of fits the status quo, very wealthy, you know, affluent, and married, several kids. So it's just these two kind of wildly opposite mothers and this incredible dynamic between them. And then you have multiple subplots with dynamics between the kids, you know, the teenagers, and then also between different mothers, and there's sort of some other mothers that come in the mix. And so it's just a really cool story. There's so much that I never really found a way to like go over the actual kind of story.
Yeah.
But I always say that it's just kind of at its core about, you know, motherhood, but there's so many other issues that are brought up and kind of discussed.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the story, as you said, I would agree, quite compelling.
It is quite compelling, and really, when you compare a show, I actually love this show, and I'm only at 2 episodes in. I'm loving it, but the thing about the show to me, like we were talking about Vindication earlier, and if anyone that's watched the show, they know that I can talk ad infinitum about Vindication because I love that show. Little Fires Everywhere can go in the same direction very easily as Vindication if it wanted to. Because you're talking about stuff that happens in real life. I mean, this stuff's so real and true and accurate. And then when you get an actress like Reese Witherspoon and an actress like Kerry Washington, who just absolutely, they nail everything they do.
Bring it to life, yeah.
You know, they nail everything they do. And it's based upon a novel by Celeste Ng. And so, you know, you write this thing out, novel's a bestseller. Then you go out and make a film about it, and then you start getting the right people in place, and you go do it. And that show, dude. I love it because of its accurate portrayal. You were describing Reese Witherspoon's character as being kind of like the status quo, Caucasian, wealthy, you know, classic family, 4 kids. Everything is so, you know, perfect, but it's not.
Definitely not.
It's so imperfect.
Not even close, yeah.
It's not even close, and you just revealing the show reveals the issues that go beyond the surface, which is how life is. I mean, there's so many people out there that appear to be one way, and really it's
they're never the way they appear. You know what I mean? Like any way it goes, any way you know toss it, it's people never are really what they appear on a surface level. There's just more to every person. Every person has their, you know, whether you see their flaws at first or whether you see the sort of facade of their, oh, I'm perfect, whatever they want to, because like who doesn't want to appear as perfect for whatever reason, whether it's like you're trying to attract someone or whether you want to be attractive to someone, like, you know, physically or like a partner, or you want to be like attractive to people in general, like you want to have a lot of friends or a lot of power, whatever it might be. There's always going to be that kind of motive for like, I want to appear this way to other people.
Yes.
But that's not the way it is. I mean, even I do that to some degree. It's like, I think we all have the real us, and it's not even like people are being fake necessarily. Because I think there's a difference between like really being fake and like being snaky and having a bad motive, or just being polite, right? Like if you just meet someone, you might not, you know, talk how you talk to your parents or your brother or whatever it is. So yeah.
So we have another question from Michelle Van Duzen. She wants to know how old you were when you started acting, and which sports or experiences do you think helped you the most in your character choices?
It's a really good question. Really good question, Michelle. So when I was about 11, I started acting. I started in theater when I was quite young. Actually, you know what? I was 11 going on 12, and I remember there was an ad in the paper for Annie Get Your Gun at a local theater.
Okay.
And, oh my gosh, Peggy! Hey,
Peggy,
how's it going? So there's an ad in the local paper for that, and you know, naturally, my mom's like, "What are you doing? You're 12 years old, sitting at the house playing video games, doing school. You know, you're homeschooled. There's no real extracurricular activities for you." She's like, "You need to do something.
Yeah.
Would you be interested in this?" I'm like, "No, it's weird. That's weird. I don't sing. I don't dance. What are you talking about?"
Right.
She's like, "All right, well, I'll give you 30 minutes of extra video game time if you just try it. Just audition. You don't even have to take the role. Just audition, see what happens. So I'm like,
Yeah.
being impulsive, 12-year-olds are known for that. So I'm like, whatever, fine, I'll do it, whatever. Just to get that extra 30 minutes a night or whatever.
Yes.
So I auditioned for that. I've been practicing, and when it comes down to it, I'm terrified, and I get in the room, and I think I did pretty well, but I think I messed up on the monologue, like one line, and I thought that was like a deal breaker. I was like, oh, I messed it up. It has to be perfect. I messed it up, and I started crying. I got in the lobby. I'm like bawling my eyes out, just hugging my mom. I did horrible. And she's like, I don't know, you're fine. Like you just relax. They don't care. They're not laughing at you. Like it's okay. And thank you, Skeeta. I miss you guys. Yeah, and so I thought I'd screwed it up, and then I ended up getting a small role on that. So that was crazy. That was the first experience with acting I ever had. It's tiny roles, just like ensemble, like just singing and dancing and like the crowds, but blast. I mean, great time. In a lot of ways, I miss theater just because the community was it was different. It was just a little more grounded, and it felt really, really down to earth. But that was kind of how I got my start, and did theater for about 3 years. Got an agent in Texas, Tori Christopher, fantastic agent. Worked my way up, and then got an agent in the Southeast, and then Paradigm in LA as well. And that's how I booked Little Fires. That's how I booked this, and then so just been trucking ever since.
Well, thank God, Jordan, for being open to Mom's suggestions, and okay, yeah, let's give it a shot and so forth. And I think your mom must have realized that you had this talent, because you are legit. In my opinion, dude, you're legit, and you got a bright future in front of you. Just keep the Lord in your life, keep trusting Christ. And dude, the sky is the limit. You have the skills, as my friend Skeeta Jenkins says. You got skills. There's no question. As we're talking about Little Fires everywhere, now you're in Vancouver, Canada, working on your next project, Superman and Lois. So we're going to give everyone a little trailer of Superman and Lois, which airs on February 23rd with my main man, Jordan Elsass, who plays the role of Jonathan Kent.
We all begin as one version of ourselves. But as we grow, life changes us. Every moment shaping our character, shifting our priorities, stretching every fiber of our being, until we think we've lost ourselves to the stress of it all. But that's not true, because under the torn fibers is a stronger person, forged like steel, with the courage to fight for those we love. And what we thought was lost can be found in family.
Jordan Elsass, ladies and gentlemen, we've been chatting with from Canada and talking about some of his exploits in the world of acting. He's also a part of, he was a part and is a part of Vindication, a show that's in the works of season 2. Jordan is back. Jordan, how are you, buddy?
I'm back. Oh my gosh, that was incredibly stressful. I'm so sorry about that. The internet completely died throughout the house, and I don't know what happened. It disappeared from all of our devices. Both my parents were like, "Are you okay?" Like the internet just went off, and I was like,
"It's all good."
I know.
This is one of the few drawbacks of this virtual world, that because I think whenever we get back to normal, we're taking the virtual platform with us. Okay, it's no question about it. I think entertainment is like going that way. So, but anyway, that's just something that'll be worked out down the road. But no, it's happened to me before. I thank you for coming back into the show. Peggy Schott is saying that they've shot 5 episodes of Vindication in Fort Worth, and they have 5 more to come. Can't wait for the completion of season 2. Probably going to be out sometime in the latter part of the summer is what I would be guessing there. And then Peggy also says, Jordan and I did not get to work together on Vindication, but have known each other through the Austin film industry for quite a while.
Many years, yeah.
We had Charlotte Delaney Diggs. She said that she was really excited for Superman and Lois, and that she wants to work with you again. What did you guys work together on?
I'm trying to remember. I think it was a commercial a while back, if I'm not mistaken. I'm almost positive. But now I'm trying to remember, to be honest. I know I've seen her around at like a lot of classes. Okay, see, there we go, commercial.
There you go.
And then yes, oh my gosh, I totally forgot that she also did the stuff with the YouTube channel, the ATX crew. I have a buddy named Diego, and he knows a girl named Trinity that I had actually followed on Instagram.
Yeah.
And they have this really cool YouTube channel where they do these videos that are kind of focused towards like younger teenagers. And so I've been on that a couple times, and that's really fun. But yeah, that was a commercial a long time ago. And then I've seen Charlotte at different classes and stuff, and also auditions around town in Austin, not here, obviously, in like Vancouver.
Jordan, I want to get back to Superman and Lois. Before we lost you, I was about to tell you, when I was growing up, I was a huge comic book fan, and I kind of, gave that love and zeal for the comic book world to my kids. I love the Marvel movies. I love the DC movies. I think when it comes to DC, like, to me, DC's like a little brother to Marvel. Like, some people love DC, and it's cool, but it's not as good as Marvel to me. However, Superman, I've always put on the same level with Marvel, and also the Dark Knight series by DC.
Definitely. Like the trilogy,
Absolutely.
yeah, phenomenal.
Oh, man, phenomenal.
Some of the best DC movies ever, in my opinion. Definitely really, really good.
And so, and so, as I mentioned that, what was it like, or what is it like being a part of this project?
Pretty exciting, because growing up, you mentioned Dark Knight, and that was like one of my. No, that's not even really. It's. I mean, it's still, it's Warner Brothers, and it's still the DC universe, but it's just a whole kind of separate situation. Yeah. But I loved like Smallville growing up. Huge fan of Smallville. Huge fan of the Dark Knight trilogy. So I'm very familiar with a lot of the DC kind of, I guess, canon, or whatever you might refer to that as. But yes. I'm a big fan overall. And I want to agree with you, because I think that kind of as a broad, like, overall thing, I think, Marvel is definitely has kind of overtaken that market for superheroes and stuff. Yeah. But I also think like nothing can really top, in terms of as far as superheroes go, for me, nothing's ever going to be able to top Smallville or the Dark Knight trilogy. So I'd honestly, and I'm not just saying this because I'm in the universe now, I'd have to still put, for me, DC's a little higher, just because it's got that like nostalgia factor, just growing up. I remember I saw Dark Knight for the first time when I was 8. My brother took me. It was a little dark for a kid at 7 or 8 years old, looking back on it now. Yeah. But also, like, half the stuff went over my head. Half the stuff was like, right. I had no idea. Like, the scene where the Joker breaks the stick and he throws it down on the floor, and he's like, "Be quick!" And he's like, the guys get thrown down and they're like supposed to kill each other. Yeah. I didn't get that. I was like, why is he throwing them a broken pool stick? Really sharp? That's sharp. Like, that's dangerous. I didn't get that as a kid. But I'm very excited to be a part of it, and I'm especially excited to be a part of a Superman show, because that is CW, because that CW show that was about Superman was one of my favorite shows growing up as a kid. Smallville, I've watched probably all 10 seasons, at least a good 2 or 3 times. So big fan.
Well, the DC universe, when you're talking about Superman, like I said, Superman, I mean, you don't beat Superman. The story of Superman is like, is a beast of the story. But, and then when it comes to Batman, the Dark Knight series, for me, there's a comic book back in the day called the Detective Series for Batman, right? You had your Batman and Robins, and you had all these different things. But the Detective Series was like the deal, dude. Like,
Yeah.
he was a bad dude. The Batman in the detective series, he was a bad dude. And I love that particular comic book series. So the Dark Knight kind of
fed into that, or
probably unintentionally. I don't know if they did this on purpose or not, but it kind of follows up that series of Batman, a bad dude. What is the guy's name that produces the Christopher Nolan? I think is his name.
Right.
I think it's Christopher Nolan.
He directed.
The guy is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Christopher
genius.
Nolan is phenomenal. And so as you mentioned that about DC, those are kind of like the only two projects to me that are like beastly good. Everything else that DC produces is okay. It's not bad, but it doesn't have that compelling, edgy factor that a lot of Marvel characters have to me. And it was kind of is where it kind of falls short. But with those two franchises, Superman and the Dark Knight, dude, untouchable. Can't touch it.
Yeah.
So it's got to be a real honor for you to be a part of it. How did you land the role of Jonathan Kent?
Man, that was so long ago. So long. Shouldn't have been long ago, but it was a long time ago because of COVID. So it was early 2020. Actually, I may have gotten the audition for it. No, I think it was early 2020. I believe it was January. And then I actually went out for the screen test in February. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on this, but almost positive it was early 2020. I got the original audition from Paradigm, sent that tape in, and then that's when, like I was talking about earlier, I got the call back that, oh, we want you to play the other brother. So originally I was auditioning for the role of Jordan Kent.
A crazy dynamic indeed. And okay, so we know Superman, but obviously Superman and Lois, the show, has kind of a different background. Can you give us a little background on where the show, or the idea of the show, what it's all about, outside of the fact that it is about Superman, but this is Superman and Lois. So what's the background on this show?
The background on this show is, I don't want to give too much away.
Yeah.
But you sort of see in the trailer, you sort of see Superman and Lois, and they have kids now, right? And the kids are a little older now. Kids are going into high school now. And so there's this dynamic of, I think it's a lot about the family kind of as a whole. And, it's just it's going to be a really cool story. That's really, honestly, that's pretty much all I can say at this point.
I totally understand.
It's so early, it's not a single episode there. So, you see these characters and you can look up the characters online. And so you kind of start to see who's in the show, but you don't really, see this. All we're going to see for now is just sort of like, oh, it's the family. That's all we really know at this point. So, Jordan,
I tell you right now, this has been a great conversation. I do have two more questions I want to ask you before we dip out. And one of those is, what is the biggest thing that you've learned about acting since you've been a part of it that has actually made you a better actor?
I think, I don't know. I mean, I think that, I would say, like, for me, it's sort of been that you have to really be patient, because I think that there's certain things that you'll discover about the character that just come with time.
Yeah.
Like, I think it never is like an instant, like no matter who you are, I never think it's just this like snap into it, like, oh, I've got it. I've got the character. I know the character.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a process. It takes time. It's like anything else. Imagine if you're a doctor, but you're switching hospitals all the time, right? You're going from one state to another, and there's different sort of rules and different sort of medical procedures that you might have to do. Whatever that might be. It's a crappy example, I know, because I'm not a doctor. I don't know anything about it, but but like, I'd imagine that it's similar in the way of with acting. You're going from one character to another, one production company to another, one role to another. So you are seeing, while everything is very similar, it's also different. And so there's this learning curve that comes with every role, and there's always going to be new things that you have to sort of pick up, new skills. Maybe you have to learn for every single role. Yeah. So I think the best thing you can do is just persevere and be patient and let certain things come with time. Do your very best. And I think that's what I've really learned, is just that to have that patience and to go with the flow and to be willing to learn and to keep an open mind every set that I come to, and not to be naive enough to think that it's going to be the same thing.
Well, that's a great answer. And my last question, which probably in a lot of ways lines up that what you just said with the last question. However, it might deviate a little bit. I love to ask this question, particularly when one considers that you are a young actor. You're 19. And I was wondering what kind of advice would you have for actors your age, young aspiring actors that want to get involved in the entertainment industry?
Definitely, yeah. So sort of, piggybacking off of what I was just saying, I think coming back to that sort of whole thing about perseverance, I think that's, and I've said this before, but I think it's probably the most important thing, hands down, because people fail to remember. People, I think, sometimes want to get into this industry because they want quick money or quick fame or quick success. Even maybe it's not even about money or fame for them. Maybe it's about, they really just want to shine, and they want to, get that recognition and book a role that's really serious. And that's totally understandable. Like, I get it 100%. But the issue is that it's very unrealistic. It's an unrealistic expectation. Yeah. And even if you were to somehow be a one-hit wonder, it's unlikely that you'll have the skills you need to succeed long-term. You might get on set and you might realize, I hate this. You also might get fired because you might not know what you're doing. So it's important that you build that base set of skills and you learn, maybe you work on student films, maybe you work as background, an extra, whatever it might be at first, kind of to get yourself in that headspace and understand what the industry is really about, even if you're just getting a small taste of it, because you'll never really understand. I still don't think I really understand, it's still like, it's crazy, and always changing. But I would definitely say that just knowing that, like, it takes not only talent, but time and effort as well. It's that combination of those three key things. So, you, just like anything else, right? Coming back to the doctor thing, right? If you want to be a doctor, you got to go to medical school. Sometimes you'd be in school for 8+ years, right? So you can't, it's not an overnight thing. For me, it took to book any kind of role that was even slightly significant. It was 7 years before I booked Little Fires. So again, it took me, I might as well have, not that what I did in the past with like commercials and stuff and student films was at all comparable to going to medical school, but like, it still took a lot of time and just that constant sort of perseverance of like, I didn't book that. That's okay. I didn't book that. That's okay. I went through so many auditions before I booked Little Fires. So many. And some of them I booked and some of them I didn't. But it was never really a career, or I never really viewed it as a career until I booked that. And that's when it became a career, is sort of the hope is, and it continues to hopefully, change and evolve and maybe become bigger and maybe become smaller. No matter what, hopefully I'll always be able to make a living off of it. And I think that's really what you got to keep in mind, is if you love it, you won't really care if you're rich or famous. And in fact, you may not even want to be rich or famous. I certainly don't. I don't think I want to be famous. I think that doesn't sound very, very nice to me. But I definitely think that you start to realize what truly matters and what's truly important, and that is just that recognition, and that you want to be someone that, like, growing up, I'd always look at people on the movie screens and be like, man, I would love to play that role. Like I get goosebumps. I would get teary eyed and I get goosebumps because I'm like, that is just so compelling and so awe-inspiring, and I want to be that guy. And so that's like still what I aim for every day.
Well, you sound like a purist to me, and I think that's a great thing when you're in this industry, because you can get it twisted and think that I'm going to make all the bucks and I'm going to be famous and all those different things. And actually, I mean, even though you're only 19, you've been grinding for a while at this. This was not like an overnight thing for you. I mean, you've paid your dues. I mean, you've done your auditions. You've done the work that's required. You've had to deal with, maybe not getting a role and this and that and the other. I mean, you started at a young age. So you've been through a lot of stuff. I have an actor friend by the name of Steve Shermett who said, listen, don't quit your day job because it's hard. Acting it's hard to really establish a good enough niche where you can actually just depend on that only for your livelihood.
Definitely. Because there's just so many factors that go into being successful in it. It's this perfect storm of things, whether it's, on the networking side or on the talent side or just knowing the right person at the right time or having that one door open at that right time. It's, it comes down to luck sometimes. It really does. It's not always about just being talented. There's more to it than that. Sometimes it comes down to just a look. It could be you don't look right for that role. Great actor, you don't look right for it. So it's just so many different things that could cause you to book a role or not to book a role.
Yeah, I've heard that so many times from other actors, that are actually out there doing it like yourself. And there's so many nuanceical things that will appeal to, a director or a casting person. And they'll go, oh, no, you might remind them of their old boyfriend or whatever. Exactly. I don't know. It's just so many things. And then, of course, there is talent. Sometimes your talent just outshines everybody. But the dues that you have to pay to get to that point. So at the end of the day, go back to what you originally said about the fact that you just love it. You're not in it for the fame and the fortune. You just love acting. And that's what you have to be in the entertainment industry. You have to love doing what you do. Like, I'm a stand-up comic. I just love comedy. I love doing, yes, I'd like to make a lot of money and do a lot of different things. But at the end of the day, you got to love doing it. If you don't love it, you won't survive anyway, and you'll quit because of the rejection, not only of not getting a role, but maybe, bombing. I mean, as a comic, I know what bombing is, but as an actor, I mean, you can bomb a role. You can bomb an audition,
Absolutely.
And it's hard to get over that. But at the end of the day, you gotta be, able to kind of flick it off and go, okay, it's part of the game. I'll come back and I'll get them next time. And you can't let it bother you. So there's so many things that you have to consider. So young actors, take Jordan Elsass's advice, keep it in mind as you go forward, and put it all together in your mind and decide, whether or not this is something that you really want to do. And Michelle Van Dusen says, acting is recreating a picture puzzle, so it just matters if you are that piece of the puzzle. Great
I agree
advice.
with that. I like that. That's good.
Great comment, Michelle. Great comment. Jordan, this has been a great interview. I want to thank you once again for being on the Maurice Brown Show. And before we get out of here, can you tell fans how they can follow you on social media or by website?
Absolutely. Best way to find me is going to be Instagram. It's just my name, Jordan Elsass. Just one word, just my name. You can also find me on Twitter at Jordan Elsass1. And then, those are pretty much, I don't use Twitter, so I'd recommend Instagram. But I'm also on Facebook. Just look up my name, Jordan Elsass. And so, those three, but primarily Instagram, just Jordan Elsass.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking with the very talented Jordan Elsass, who can be seen in the Hulu series Little Fires Everywhere with Reese Witherspoon and Kerry Washington. You can also see him in Superman and Lois on the CW, which will premiere February the 23rd. You can see him in Vindication, a show that's on PureFlix. If you don't have PureFlix, subscribe to PureFlix, hit Vindication, watch Jordan Elsass in that as well, and also Panic, which is a series that will be, correct me if I'm wrong, Jordan, but I do believe on Amazon Prime.
Correct.
Yet to establish a release date. But ladies and gentlemen, those are the ways you can follow Jordan. He's an excellent young actor. I highly advise you to check him out. Wonderful young actor. Jordan, thank you so much once again. And may the peace of Christ, Jordan, be with you and your family, brother. God bless you.
God bless you, Maurice. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.